Got it.
And they had WWE actually email me on the Thursday before Royal Rumble, but I didn't get the email because my email wasn't working on my phone for some reason. So
Oh,
I
man.
was like, man, if they wanted me for Royal Rumble, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah.
So, but no. And then I got the email when I got home, and then I called.
What's up, Bengal fans? It's your host, Joey Karni. I want to thank you for clicking on this video. It was an amazing experience, and I can't wait for you to see the full interview. Now, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below your favorite part at the end of the video. Now, enjoy the show.
Let's go, let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Angle Podcast. As always, I am your host, Joey Karni, and with me today, a very special guest. He is a former tag team champion, former national champion, former world champion, and if you thought it was anybody else, I'm sorry about your damn luck. It is the Cowboy, James Storm. How are you doing? Welcome to the
Good.
Angle.
How you doing today, brother?
Awesome, man. I appreciate you being on and taking the time to talk. So just to get off on the right start here, we might as well talk about what's happening in the world today. This COVID-19 pandemic, how has it affected your training, your focus? How has it affected your life?
Oh man, it's it was rough at the beginning. I mean, as a lot of people know, I was actually supposed to have signed with the WWE right after WrestleMania, and then all this stuff happened. So it kind of messed that whole, situation up. But it's just one of those things where, you just got to pick yourself up and keep going because, I can sit here and whine and cry about it all I want, but I'm not the only person affected by this, So there's people that got a lot worse than I do. That's how, I got to look at it. But, there's times when you become depressed because the life that you're so used to is not there anymore. Like, I always try to compare it to like a junkie needing a drug. Wrestlers love that adrenaline rush that they get when they're in front of fans, when they're coming out, into an arena and just the noise and, being able to do the cheers and everything. And man, it's just, but it's just one of those things that, hopefully things get back going the way that it should. I don't know when, but it's just one of those things where you just gotta find something that keeps you positive every day. And for me right now, it's being able to spend time with my family because I've been on the road for 20 something years. The most I get to see my family is maybe 2 days at a time or something. So now getting to see them 6-7 months at a time that's a little different story. But it's just something and I've started training a lot better and eating a lot better. So, and I've gotten in a lot better shape because of the pandemic. So, I can thank that for that. But, as far as everything else, I just take it day by day.
Of course, making positives out of, negative situations is the best way, to live. Your career is a very interesting one to me because you've been a lot of places. And I always like to ask my guest about their sort of origin stories. How did you break into the wrestling business? How were you inspired? Where did that inspiration to break into wrestling come from?
I think it came from, my grandfather taking me to the Nashville Sports Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where the USWA used to perform. And I remember going there and watching, The Undertaker back in the day. Sting used to go through there, Ultimate Warrior. And then Jerry Lawler and all those guys as well. So, and I just remember just seeing how wrapped up my grandfather would get, watching this, and then I found myself getting wrapped up in it as well. And then, I just started as I got older, I was always watch it with my brothers and stuff. And I remember when Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior wrestled each other. And my mom was she was a big Ultimate Warrior fan, and I was going for Hulk Hogan. And then when he lost, I just remember being so mad. And my mom like rubbed it in my face. She was like, "Ha ha ha!" I'm like, I'm 10, Mom, leave me alone, But but and it's just one of those things I don't think I grew out of it. Like it's just something that I always gravitated towards. And I won a state championship in the 152-pound class in my high school, and then I went to college and I lost my scholarship because I started training to be a pro wrestler. I broke my shoulder, and then once I got my shoulder healed, I lost my scholarship and I kept pursuing wrestling, and finally made it. And then I had to do the whole indie scene for a good 2-3 years, traveling around everywhere wrestling for $5. So, and we put like seriously like 6-7 people in a van and just drive to Jackson, Mississippi. That's about 6 hours from here, and that was my first payday for $5.
Wow.
And actually, I still have that $5. So,
oh wow,
yeah,
there's your inspiration right there.
That's it.
You've had, like I said, a legendary career. Most recently with the NWA. How did that come about? How did you get in touch with, or did they come to you? How did you break into the NWA?
Yeah, they were doing a show, and they needed someone to wrestle Nick, for the main event. And since I was pretty close to him, distance wise, they called me up and Nick asked me if I would do it, and I was like, yeah, sure. So I went up there, did good business, and then he told me that they were going to be starting back up the NWA, and asked if I would be willing to come aboard and help out any way I could. And I was like, yeah, just let me know what you guys need. And so it wasn't that much longer afterwards that they would call, and that they called, and I started wrestling for them. So,
of course, and it was there you won the national championship, and then later on became the tag team champions with Eli Drake. What did it mean to hold those prestigious titles in your time there?
It was really cool, especially the NWA belts, because I won the NWA TNA tag team belts that they had back in the day, but to win the original NWA belts, it was pretty cool, and to win them up against the Rock and Roll Express and stuff too. So that was pretty a good little achievement.
Yeah, and speaking of tag teams, I mean, you were with Beer Money with Bobby Roode and TNA. When you guys were there and you both went on to your singles career, how did that really stem? Did management say we're splitting you guys up? Did you guys say after such a long time as a tag team, where did that whole idea come from where Beer Money was broken up? Because I enjoyed the Beer Money run, but I also enjoyed your singles run. So I'm trying to get a perspective as where that really all came from.
Well, I think it was because the management needed more main event guys, because the other main event guys were kind of just moving on and stuff. So they had to start making, main event guys. So they say, well, who better do we go with than James Storm and Bobby Roode, who's been here, and put their time in, and it'd be a good story, with the whole Beer Money thing as well. So that's kind of just where that all came. I just remember them bringing us in, setting us down and saying, hey, do you guys mind splitting up? And me and Bobby was like, no, like we don't mind either way, as long as the other guy is not just thrown to the side. And so they're like, no, we're not going to do that. So that's how that all came about.
Of course. And after leaving Fortune, you both went on to win singles world titles, defeating Kurt Angle for that title. What did it mean to have the company say, you're going to be our guy, we're behind you? Like, what was that feeling like?
I didn't even actually know until probably like 2 hours before show. They didn't even tell me that, they just like, hey, you're wrestling Kurt tonight. And I was like, okay, well, fine. Sounds good. So I was trying to put together this whole long match or whatever. And then I find out that Kurt has like a partially torn hamstring that he can't do too much. And then they're like, oh yeah, we're going to put the belt on you too. I was like, okay. So then I had to come up with like a whole new thing or whatever. And, it was pretty cool. That moment, really meant a lot to me. People can say what they want to say, oh, they're putting a fiction belt on you, it's predetermined and all this. But, until you're in that position and you actually have that moment. Like and to me, that moment was, me going to the Nashville Fairgrounds and watching it with my grandfather and watching it with my mom and being able and sit down with my dad and watching it before he passed on. Like all those moments came, and that's what I was thinking about. Like I wish that those people were here to see me in this moment.
Of course, and culminating with the world title there is one of my favorite runs, I think, with TNA and Impact of all time. James Storm, that whole successful tag team breaking off and then going into singles success. You don't really see it that often anywhere, and it's very rare. It's very rare to happen. So, like I said, that was one of my favorite runs with TNA. Ultimately, you left the company. Was there any reason why you decided to leave? What was that ending like?
It was. You talking about the last time I left, or just
Well, after the world title win, you ended up leaving. I think you and Bobby both left. I don't know if it was on the same time or not, but
I remember I left first, and I just remember it was just so hectic backstage, and it was like a weird transition. Like I didn't know where the company was going or what they were doing with me, and I kind of basically just did everything really, and I didn't want to be just kind of just stuck in a rut, and then so I talked to Dixie, and I still had like another year left on my contract, and she was willing enough to let me out of it, and so I left, and then I went down to NXT for a little bit, did that, and then they called me back wanting me to come back, and it's kind of, I always say it's kind of like joining the Army. Like like the Army can tell you everything you want to hear, but as soon as you sign on that dotted line, it doesn't matter what they really said.
Right.
And I think that's kind of what happened is I came back to TNA, and I talked to Hunter, and and he's the one that basically told me, he's like, look, he goes, you can't pass up guaranteed money. He goes, I can never tell any guy to pass up guaranteed money, and that's what it was. And so I re-signed, and Bobby actually told me, like, before I re-signed, he goes, hey, just so you know, like, I'm probably gonna be leaving too. And I said, well, that's on you. Like, we are our own men. You got to go do what you got to do. I do what I want to do. And so, of course, like, as soon as I resign, come back, do like a little bit of beer money stuff, then Bobby leaves. And then it was just, I felt like right after that, I got stuck in a rut, like they didn't know what to do with me at all. And I remember like Bobby Lashley getting mad, saying, how can they not have you on the show? Like, they're paying you money. Like they got to pay you regardless. Like, and he goes, you can work and you can talk. He goes, I don't know why I said, I have no clue either, man, but here I am. So.
No, that's an interesting perspective, because from the fans' point of view, I remember during that time, there was a really hot wave with TNA where it was almost like they were going head to head with WWE. You had all these guys from WWE going over there, and you had all the original TNA members like you and Bobby and a bunch of other people really holding it together, holding the fort up there. And then we saw it start to crumble, like you were talking about, where things started to change. And I think the fans noticed that in a way. So when you came into NXT, that was a big shock, at least for me. I remember watching that episode. I'm like, holy crap, James Storm in NXT. That was, I think, was it one match that you had there, or was it two? How many matches did you actually have there?
I had 2 matches, and then I worked Adam Rose after that first match. So.
Got it. Yeah, no, that was really, to me, a huge moment to see James Storm in NXT, and then ultimately you ended up signing back TNA Impact. But are you right now? I know that you've had a current or small kind of run with Impact. You were at a couple of their pay-per-views recently. How did that really come about? To see you in the Battle Royal first off, and then to see you at Turning Point with Chris Sabin. 2 tag team specialists, legendary tag team specialists coming together was really, really cool.
It was just like Scott D'Amore, messaged me and was like, hey, we're going to be in Nashville filming. Just going to see if you happen to be available. We'd like for you to come in and be in this Battle Royal, if a surprise entry or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. Whatever you guys need or whatever. And we talked about it and agreed on it. And then, while I was up there, they wanted me to come back the next day, but I had prior engagement. I had to go to do an autograph signing or whatever. So they put that match. They said, well, Alex Shelley got hurt. So we'd like to, if you'd like to come back and be tag team with Chris Sabin. I was like, yeah, number one, it'd be fun. And number two, I want to prove to everybody else that, I can go out there and still go when I need to, and so it was just one of those things. He's like, all right, cool. So I landed at 12 o'clock, drove right to the building, got dressed and, performed. So, and, did what was asked of me.
Wow. And now I don't know if you're able to talk about it, but are you currently signed with Impact, or is that just a one-off kind of thing? Or
yeah, no, I'm currently still a free agent. I didn't, we never did discuss like, contracts or anything like that. It was me just going in and helping out when they needed help and, doing what I could to help them out.
Of course. Now recently we've seen the NWA kind of merge with and create Primetime Live, which is where you and Eli dropped the tag team titles, the NWA tag team titles. What is the current state, if you can say anything, because fans are kind of in limbo with it. What's the current state, or at least what with NWA? Because they said it was coming back, and then there was people saying it was canceled. And we see other people from the company going elsewhere. So kind of what's your stance with the company, and where do they stand?
I tell you the truth, like I have no idea. I always try to, keep my nose as clean as possible, especially when it comes to the, the business side of it, unless I'm on the business side of it. That I always tell people, like, I didn't sign up to be the director. I signed up to be the actor, and so I just go in now, just do my job, and I'll let them worry about that, but, and I always told Billy, whatever, if you ever need me, you got my number, just let me know.
Of course. And I know at the beginning of our interview, you talked a little bit about potentially being signed by WWE. That was supposed to happen after WrestleMania. If you can elaborate on that story a little bit, because I read the headline when it first came out, and I was blown away because I didn't expect it. And I was excited about it because of that first stint with NXT. So to see James Storm in the same headline as WWE, that's pretty big for wrestling fans.
Yeah, it was well, it was because it all went down at the end of January. Is like when we all talked and stuff, and was keeping it quiet. So it would be a surprise. And I said I blame that damn Ryan Sutton, and he's like a Scooby Doo detective. I'm like if it wasn't for you, I'd stay. But no, and Ryan was like, look, I just want to get it out on your terms before somebody else gets it out. And so, that's the whole reason. And that's cool of him to do that. And, but it was one of the things where Paul wanted to bring me in to help out these younger guys, to especially maybe like promos and make them more believable. And I always tell people, like, you can tell somebody how to wrestle, but until they get in the ring with someone who knows how to tell a story and wrestle on TV, it might not click with them by somebody just telling them. And that's what I was going to be brought in for. Well, that's what they said, in the beginning. He goes, with you, we don't really have to worry about you because we're sure that you'll get over, no matter what. And that's, I said, look, whatever you guys need, it pays the same. So put me in, coach.
Of course.
And then it was, all I had to do left was just take my drug test. Everything was signed, contract was signed and everything. But then I seen, they started releasing all these different guys and stuff. And, I just knew that, my contract was going to be in that mix somewhere. So it is what it is. It's business.
What did they end up telling you that it's just not going to happen right now? Or did they keep their word? Is there any hope that you're going to be there whenever this thing is over?
I have no idea. It was just one of the things where they just said, at the moment, with everything going on, they can't, move forward with the contract. So, but you never know, it could be revisited sometime during down the line.
Of course. And that kind of stemming and the whole thing happening with NWA and everything just kind of trickling down. And then you see the headline that Paul Heyman is no longer in charge of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, when I saw that, then I knew my contract was really in trouble.
Yeah, what was that initial reaction? I mean, you being told that you're going to be, on Monday Night Raw, which is the biggest brand in professional wrestling, and then having this pandemic hit, and then seeing the guy that, you know, you had spoken to originally, you know, kind of transition to a different position. What's that mindset like?
Am I able to cuss on this?
Oh, of course, of course.
This was as soon as I read it, I'm looking at my phone like this. I went, fuck.
Yeah.
And I went, babe, I'm going to need more beer. that was my exact, you know, I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like that, you know, all these years I've been telling people, sorry about your damn luck. Now I'm sitting there going, I'm going to be saying this shit to myself. Like,
of course.
I would say it worked so hard to get to that point, and then the end of the world comes, you know?
Of course, no. I mean, but there is hope. He still is there, so he's still got some pull, obviously, but he's on SmackDown now.
Right.
But I'm sure that there's it's going to happen. I mean, it's inevitable. We've seen so many other people, legendary figures be brought in. There's no way that James Storm is not going to be in the WWE. I can't see it not happening. I mean, you had that kind of tease in NXT, but the timing was off. You know, you had the, you know, better money with Impact and different things. But now, I mean, the world is changing. If you were to be in WWE or get there, do you have a preference as to if you would prefer to be in NXT with the younger guys or on Raw or SmackDown, kind of a mainstay? What would be a preference? Where do you see yourself being positioned there?
You know, I would, you know, as you said, like I would prefer to be on, you know, Raw or SmackDown for storytelling wise. You know, to me, those are the storytelling brands. Whereas NXT, that's the guys that are going out there and giving it, you know, 150%, 100 miles an hour. You know, like, you know, they're telling stories, but man, you know, but I always say if I wanted to go out and prove myself, it would definitely be with NXT, because those guys, man, they're delivering all the time, you know, and I know a lot of those guys too. And it just seems that Hunter gives those guys more freedom to kind of go do. Because I know when I was there, man, he was just hands on and just like, you know, working with the guys, and you know, it was pretty cool to see. So, of
course. And I think from the fans' perspective, that is exactly what you're saying is true, because now everything is online. The fans, you know, they're a part of the process, sort of say, because they know everything now. I mean, not as much as they think, but
right. And that's why I was so surprised that it hadn't leaked from, you know, the beginning of February till, you know, like middle of September that I signed with them. You know, I was like, I cannot believe that this hasn't gotten out so much, because I only told like 4 people. Like only 4 people knew. So,
so when did you actually end up parting ways with NWA?
Actually, it was right after the Royal, because we had a pay-per-view and a TV taping on the Royal Rumble weekend.
Got it.
And they had WWE actually email me on the Thursday before Royal Rumble, but I didn't get the email because my email wasn't working on my phone for some reason. So I was like, man, if they wanted me for Royal Rumble, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah.
So, but no. And then I got the email when I got home, and then I called Dave Lagana and Billy and talked to them, and because I still had like a rollover clause in, you know, at the beginning of February in my contract. And they were like, look, as long as you can give us one date to drop the belts, you know, and I was going to do that WrestleMania weekend, you know, when they do all the shows, you know, and I was like, yeah, that's, you know, I'll do right business, whatever you guys need, just let me know. And then, and it was just, to me, it was cool for them just because they told me, like, no, like, this was our goal, is to get you there. Like, you belong on, you know, not saying that NWA is not a big stage, but you belong on the bigger stage. You know, wow. That's where you belong. And so that, I always thought that was really cool of Billy and Dave.
No, it's good business too. I mean,
yeah,
you see that often.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. So, like I said, it's inevitable that you'll end up in WWE. When you do get there, do you see yourself with a singles run? Do you see yourself reforming a tag team if you're on the same show as Bobby? I mean, I know that you said before that it'd be cool, to reform Beer Money there on Raw or SmackDown. But what is the where do you see that happening? I mean, it's
You
kind of
know,
an
to me, I think if I was to go in there, like I would want to go in there as myself first and prove, just as I say, Vince gives people opportunities, and what you do with that opportunity is up to you. And like that's all I would need is that opportunity to show that hey, I can do this on my own. I can go out there and I can deliver and I can get over and whatever is asked of me, and I can give you believable promos. Like you write whatever you want to write, and I'll make it sound like it's mine. And I think that's a disconnect with a lot of the guys is even though they're given written promos,
Yep.
they're not connecting with that character for some reason.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that a lot more today, especially like I said, all the fans, they're online, everything's on social media. They know they get more of a grasp than they used to of what's going on backstage. So they're learning more of the terms and they're learning more of the way the business works backstage. So
right,
that's why a lot of it is all, it's really hard, like what you did to keep it quiet for so long. And now, with these fans, so it's kind of crazy to see, where today the fans are, where their stance is, sort of say, in wrestling. But I have to ask, because I've seen this, I've read it before. I don't know if it's true. When you were first in NXT, whatever the plans were, they made a theme song, and apparently it was for you first, or it was for AJ, or something like that. Was that true?
Yeah. They because they gave me some music, and then Hunter said, "Well, just use this for tonight," and then I have the team. He goes, "Give me kind of something that you like, and we'll make something off of it." And I was like, "Okay." So then they sent that to me and everything, and they were going to put "Sorry About Your Damn Luck" at the beginning of it, and I was like, "All right, yep, that's it," and then like the real reason I didn't sign really it was because of the family situation, because my wife was trying to have we wanted to have another child, but she had to do the shots and stuff or whatever, so I had to be home more. And Hunter, he goes, yeah, we're actually gonna be running like between 110, 120 shows next year, and I was like, man, like I can't do that, with my wife wanting to have another kid and stuff. And that's when he told me, he goes, look, if I was in your position, I'd take the guaranteed money. So, and like I said, it was yes, it was good money and more money, but that's not what I was looking at was the more money. I was just, like I said, I was looking at the opportunity, because if you get in good with WWE and you do right and like you get over, you can make a boatload of money, off merchandise and all this other stuff. So,
yeah. Back to the WWE. I know we're talking about this a lot. If you were to go there, and you ultimately get into a reformed Beer Money, sort of say with Bobby, what would be your version of Beer Money? What would you see it as today, being so many years away from the tag team coming together? What would be your version of it today? How do you see it?
What do you mean as your version?
Like how would you describe it today?
Oh, I mean,
updated version.
I'd probably say a better budget. Yeah, it'd be a better budget, Beer Money, because I mean, me and Bobby, like we were just throwing stuff together, like but now we can probably put more elaborate stuff into it or whatever that we would want. But I think that actually is what kind of made Beer Money. Beer Money is that I would do so much like makeshift stuff or whatever, like, make a sign with a drawing that had me and Bobby like stick figures saying Beer Money, dressing room here or whatever, and so, and to me, I don't think there would be that much of a difference. I don't think there should be that much difference, because I think that we could still relate to, a newer generation or the WWE audience, as we did with the Impact, because no matter where I go, even like no matter where I go, like I hear Beer Money all the time,
And if that was to happen today, I mean, we see on Raw today, the tag team division is lacking. A better term, it's lacking. Do you think that Beer Money would be the top team on Monday Night Raw?
You know, I don't know if we'd be a top team. We'd be one of the top merchandise sellers. I tell you that. But
Of course.
because we made TNA like $1 million in 1 year, just off beer money merchandise. So so I could only imagine like with the WWE machine behind it or whatever. But you know, like it is, that's hearsay. So we never know until maybe it happens. So
Of course. I definitely see it happening as a wrestling fan, but also being sort of involved with the business today. In my eyes, what I see it as is when DX reformed, I think in 06, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels kind of had that interaction in the ring where they were enemies and then they came together. I think that would be really – that's kind of what I see for you and Bobby as reforming beer money. Sort of say it would be like a huge pop. Definitely has to be in front of a live crowd. That is for certain.
Well, and I think that was the whole thing with me returning and signing with WWE is that they wanted it to be in front of a live crowd, and then you know they don't know when a live crowd's ever going to be back in. So,
of course, is there one specific superstar across the board, any company that you could say is your dream opponent, is your top on your wish list, so to say, for opponents?
You know, if I had to choose one, it would have been, or two, it would have been Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels. Like, I wish I could have, like, worked, I mean, not Shawn Michaels, but Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect. Like, even though I got to hang around Mr. Perfect and he helped me a lot backstage, like, I just wish I could have been in the ring with him. He's just, I always say that he's one of those guys that was before his time, just like watching him bump around and all this stuff. But as far as today, like, you know, even though he says he don't know who I am, you know, like Randy Orton, like to me, both of us are storytelling guys instead of like move guys. You know, that's what I always say. You got storytelling guys and you got move guys. And I think if you get two storytelling guys together and give them some time, like there's nothing better, you know, than that.
Of course. So what in your, I know it's difficult to tell right now with everything that's going on. What do you see as being the next step for the Cowboy James Storm?
Man, like I said, I get asked that question a lot. Like I said, I truly don't know. You don't know till the phone rings, or you know, you get an email, or you send an email out. And, you know, and with how the world's going today, hell, I don't even know if the world's going to be turning tomorrow. You know, so it's kind of the, you know, like I tell everybody, just take one day at a time, and you know, pray.
Of course. Is there any upcoming dates that you have with any company that we can expect to see you soon?
I was supposed to have done one for some pay-per-view, but it got canceled as well. So not till the beginning of the year. Like I'm trying to take the next month and a half off just to get myself in like the best shape that I can. So probably the next time you see me, like, you know, I don't want to say I'm going to try to look like Batista, but I'll be kind of close.
I do actually have to comment on that, because when the last time I saw you in NXT was the first time, obviously. But when I saw your recent return to Impact, I was like, damn, this guy's in phenomenal shape. I mean, I don't think that we've ever seen a James Storm like this. I mean, jacked, man. Looking good.
Well, the funny thing is like when I went down to NXT and I got done, I got to the back, and Steven Regal and Triple H just came up to me and said, "Hey, we want to sign you, but we need you to tighten up a little bit." And I said, "No problem." So the next time I went down there and I had my second match, I actually lost 20 pounds. Wow. Like, and they were just like, "Wow." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, motivation. it's a killer. Like, you know, like if you got something motivating you, then, you know, you'll do it. So,
of course, no, that's 100% true. I like to end my interviews with the same question every time, and because I always like to hear the answer. When you think about your life, when you go to sleep at night or when you wake up in the morning, whichever, before anything hits your mind, before you realize who you are, what are those things that come to mind first as to how you want to be remembered in general, I guess?
I always tell everybody that I always want to be remembered as that friend that you can call, and I don't worry about what's in it for me, I'm just like, well, where you at? So that's I always say, get you a friend that don't worry about what's in it for them, but they just want to know where you're at. So,
of course. And is there any last words you have to the fans listening around the world? Any James Storm fans that are ready to see what's next for the Cowboy?
Yeah, just stay tuned, and you can go to. I started a new clothing line and stuff. All my merch is on lastcalloutlaw.com. Follow me on James Storm brand, Twitter, Instagram. I don't have a Facebook, so if I've had people like, "Well, I follow you on Facebook," I'm like, "I don't have a Facebook." They're like, "You sure?" I'm like, "Yep, I'm pretty sure I don't have one." But and like I said, hopefully 2020, 2021, turn around and we can start, having some kind of normalcy, go back to this world, and hopefully, you never know. Hopefully, I'll be on Raw or SmackDown. So we'll see.
Of course, man. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk and chat wrestling and your life and everything in between. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see what's happening next. I know we have a lot going on in the world, but James Storm is going to make a huge impact, I think, in 2021. Wherever
I see what you did there. Okay.
Yeah. Wherever you are, because you bring success anywhere you go. So that's inevitable to see. And I just appreciate you taking the time to talk.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it, brother.
Thanks, man.
Let's go, let's go!